Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
So, SNAP, in case you're not familiar with SNAP, it was formerly known as food stamps. And,
Mm-hmm.
at times in people's lives, sometimes people have looked to Big Brother to help them out and literally provide the nutrition going through challenging times. Cindy was bringing up a single mom
Mm-hmm.
in this world can have issues.
Oh yeah, single mothers, single fathers, basically children who might be 18 that are left in charge of their smaller siblings because something may have happened to their parents, and they all rely on this. And in my life, my daughter had twins, and her milk didn't come in, so she had to get formula, and that was extremely expensive, and none of us had that kind of money to feed twins on formula for that amount of time. So we had to rely on this. I mean, people rely on it, and this is bad. This is very, very bad.
Yeah, and again, when you look at the formula, note what's inside it, and look at things again, like simple sugars, not really the type of nutrition you want to give your newborn. Again,
Well, in our case, she was young. We were all very young. We didn't know. We just had to feed them.
right, and that's the thing. Most people don't know, that if you look at certain products, you might see what is essentially simple sugars in three different locations under different names. It's a sad situation. You have in 2025 more than 42.1 million Americans using SNAP food benefits. Again, food stamps, etc. And the reason why we bring this up is because the federal government shutdown, they are saying it's going to be hitting the SNAP benefits hard come next month. November SNAP payments suspended nationwide due to the ongoing shutdown, leaving 42 million Americans at risk of going hungry. October benefits safe, but without action, families could face delays or cuts. It isn't just red tape, it's a real pain for lower income households. So this is just horrible for people that are relying on this to eat. This is Mike Adams, Health Ranger, founder of Brighteon. And natural news now being widely reported that food stamp SNAP benefits will end for many Americans starting November 1st if the government shutdown continues. USDA reportedly does not have continuing authority to disperse funds, and it simply may not have the funds in the first place. It's not difficult to predict that if food stamp benefits are halted on November 1st, we will have nationwide food riots by November 3rd, if not sooner. 9 meals away from anarchy, never forget that. Obviously, there's a lot of contention ongoing. This person right here it's just again verifying that letters are being sent out from the Department of Agriculture directing states to pause EBT and SNAP benefits beginning in November due to the government shutdown. The letter shows that benefits will be paused. So, this is a very, very bad situation. There's been a lot of different things done by this administration, and we've seen some things that needed to be done, in our view, regarding health issues. Now, big changes are coming to SNAP in 2026. States like Arkansas, Idaho, Indiana, Nebraska, Iowa, and Utah plan to ban recipients from using benefits on junk foods. Yeah, literal junk foods. And so restrictions. Under SNAP at a national level, you cannot use ZBT to purchase alcohol and tobacco, hot prepared foods meant to be eaten on site, vitamins and dietary supplements, and non-food items like cosmetics, soap, pet food, or household supplements. Other things like staples, bread, milk, meat, produce, etc., are fine. And with junk food, it depends, I guess, on the state. We see Arkansas here is banning soda, candy, low nutritional drinks, Colorado bans soft drinks. Florida bans soda, energy drinks, candy, prepared desserts. Idaho, soda, candy. You get the picture. I think, personally, I think that's good
Yeah, I do
because
too.
those things are only going to weaken your immune system anyway and hurt your health long term. People will say, I can't afford to eat healthy, but can you ever really fully afford to not eat healthy? And, all it leads to is, the indebtedness. Does it go towards doctors and things like that later? I think, again, we got to go back to the basics and look at food, as being your primary, not just looking at it as calories and energy to keep, moving around, but look at it as this is going to be what I give my body to replace things that need to be replaced. It's going to literally become you. So you have to look at it not just as fuel, but what do you want to be made out of in the future? Every cell in our body gets replaced at a certain point in time. And what you take into your body either drains life force or it augments the life force. The life force is the key thing when you are eating things that, again, it's been said in so many different ways, like shop along the periphery of the food store, because what's in the middle aisles, all those cans and boxes, all the processed foods, they're going to literally drain the life force. They may give you calories, but not all calories are equal. And we have to think about nutritional content. Again, when you don't buy organic, it's going to be guaranteed that pretty much is going to be loaded with pesticides and all sorts of toxins. And even the organic stuff is still loaded with things that we don't want there. But it is absolutely not as toxic in most cases as that which is non-organic. So, there's lots of changes. This is what SNAP covers right here, and it says very, very clearly what it does and doesn't cover. Again, when you're given small allotments, and 1/2 gallon of organic grass-fed milk, for instance, I think the last time I got some, it was about $6.70 for a half a gallon. Half a gallon. But I still choose that one as opposed to even one that's in a plastic container because, again, we avoid the plastics for the estrogens. We don't drink out of plastics ever if we can help it. It's a tough thing. It is expensive, but at the same time, if you're overloading your body with more toxins, then it's just going to be more to detox later. One of the simplest tools that works the best as far as detoxing is simply fasting. And that doesn't cost you anything. And it is a reset. So, but what we have here are people being forced perhaps to fast. And that's a totally different scenario, a completely different scenario. The concept of food forests, edible multi-layered gardens mimicking natural forest ecosystems is gaining significant traction. And here this is talking about some people in East LA. East LA is not necessarily a very wealthy area per se. Of course, again, California is very expensive on the whole, but you have people that are planting food trees and food crops, on sidewalks and things like that, like in little walkways. There is so much. If we had the right mentality, we would have absolutely no food problems at all. None. There really shouldn't be any. Mother Nature is so productive. But we have, again, these irregularities with the weather, which we've talked about ad nauseum. And then you get things like restrictions. There are people I've saw in California, again, that were doing this. And then, whether it's the, what do they call those things where you have in your community, rules put into effect. See, we don't live in those type of places. I avoid them like the plague.
HMO.
HOAs.
HOAs.
You know, like HOAs, like on Hilton Head Island in South Carolina. You could only paint your house. There was like 4 different approved colors, 5 different approved colors. That's it. Exact hues. Too. You know, so I mean, HOAs to me, I can understand why people do them because they want the neighborhood to stay a certain way. At the same time, I can't stand restrictions. So yeah, I'll take my chances with a neighbor that has a car in the front yard type of deal. You know, this again is all about control. We could have such an abundance of food. It wouldn't take much at all. And the mindset has begun to be changed in more and more people. When you, again, look at just the seeds that you get in one watermelon, you know, there's enough seeds for sure in most fruit that we get to replenish them 10, 100, 1,000-fold. It's just simply, it's a control mechanism. And, you know, this is just, it's just so sad. I think, again, in the Bronze Age, we will not have this in place. It's going to dissolve away. It does take time. As we said, there is a transition period. It's not going to happen just immediately. But we do have very, very good things happening, I do think, around the world. You could see the changes, like telling people now, hey, you know, your junk food's not going to be paid for on your SNAP benefits. That's good because it's only going to hurt them in the first place. So yeah, there's so much we could do. We don't need to have a huge place to have an abundance of food. Our friend Dave in the UK, for instance, that we've talked about and shown videos from over the years, you know, he was growing about 70% of his produce in his apartment, and it's not a massive apartment. It's just an actual, you know, kind of ordinary apartment there in the UK, southern UK, and he's got stuff growing in pots and pans. You know, he's just creative. And now he went in on a community garden type share thing, and it's hugely productive. We could solve food problems in, I think, literally just a few years. It wouldn't take much.
I think we could too, you know, and I'm wondering if we, I mean, put our intention in the right spot. What if this helped move into alignment, like food stores lowering their prices for food, you know, so people can actually afford it? What if something like that happened and then people start growing more and relying on local farmers and maybe trade for work for food, you know? So let's take this opportunity to maybe imagine a world that might be a little bit better. I think what really kind of gets me the most, though, is, you know, those people in Washington, they're not going hungry. You know, their checks are not going to get cut. They're not going to miss a meal. So that irritates me in that sense. But on the other hand, I'm going to just hope for the best and try to look at the silver lining and pray for everyone, you know, if they need food, that they get food somewhere, somehow, and that it's even better food for them.
Yeah. Well, when, again, you know, the class that's making the laws is some, you know, is a group of people that are so far removed from average people's life. They can't, you know,
they can't imagine.
They can't imagine
it. Doesn't
no,
matter to them.
No, it doesn't. They just, you know, look at things totally different. So, you know, again, we don't need to be putting into position of authority billionaires or even, you know, multi-millionaires for that, because, you know, again, they're going to be out of touch with the majority of people, and the whole system itself needs to change. Share a little love and share your thoughts. You know, again, we are so grateful for all you guys being part of this family and contributing all these years that we've been doing this. We need to just inspire more thoughts on how we can change things in a positive manner. Again, locally, I think change can happen rapidly locally and then expand outward.
Indeed.
As always, source bless and namaste.
Namaste.